Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Ex-NFL GM doesn't hold back on Steelers' letdown defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers lost in the wild card round, suffering a 28-14 beatdown courtesy of the Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers are now 0-5 in the playoffs over the last 8 years, and calls for the franchise to move on from head coach Mike Tomlin are growing louder. While Tomlin appears far too entrenched in the organization to leave against his will, the longtime Steelers coach faces several significant challenges this offseason. Although the quarterback dilemma and George Pickens drama are obvious issues Tomlin must tackle heading into 2025, Pittsburgh's defense presents an unexpected problem. After a reasonably solid showing during the regular season, former Buffalo Bills GM Doug Whaley is calling out the Steelers' defense, which he believes is not good enough to compete with the best offenses in the league. "I've been telling you the back end obviously isn't good enough. And especially it's not good enough when the front guys can't get there. As much as we like Beanie Bishop, Cam, Sutton, and all those guys, they aren't good enough. No offense to those guys. They're just not good enough. They're good enough to be backup special teams guys, but if you're looking at the teams that are left in the tournament, they just don't stack up to that offensive firepower," Whaley said via Steeler Nation. "To me, it's secondary, and then you got to get someone to play in that interior defensive line. Everyone had their eyes on Keanu Benton. I just didn't see that growth. That first year, we thought we might have something. He's the heir apparent to Cameron Hayward. Didn't happen," Whaley added. The Steelers finished the regular season with the 12th-ranked total defense in the league and the 8th-best scoring defense. But while Pittsburgh limited opponents to 20.4 points per game in 2024, the wheels fell off the wagon late in the season. The Steelers stumbled into the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak. During that stretch, the team gave up over 27 points per contest. And then, in another one-and-done postseason appearance, Pittsburgh allowed the Ravens to score 28 points. While the Steelers' defense played well overall, the unit did not live up to the extraordinary expectations created by its collective salary. Pittsburgh fielded the most expensive defense in the NFL this season at $137.2 million, according to The Athletic's Mike DeFabua. Steelers QB Russell Wilson offers update on possible free agency. The Pittsburgh Steelers crashed and burned in the final month of their ill-fated season. Once again, the offense wasn't enough to complement a strong defense and paled compared to the AFC frontrunners with Titans under center. But picking 21st overall makes it hard to find a franchise quarterback, and no golden goose is waiting for them on the market. Between Justin Fields' development and Russell Wilson's pedigree, Pittsburgh has a choice to make at quarterback. On Wednesday, Wilson spoke out on free agency rumors and the possibility of retirement during the Pat McAfee show. "Going into Pittsburgh was a special place for me," Wilson said. "I love it, and hopefully I can play there a lot longer. It's a special place because of the guys in the locker room and the traditions and the people and the winning, plus you got Mike Tomlin, who's arguably the best coach of all time, one of the top ones. I got so much more in me, man." Wilson won 6 of his first 7 starts with the Steelers, and his record wasn't a mirage. He was playing his best football since leaving the Seattle Seahawks, elevated the offense with a more effective downfield passing game, and was operating with suboptimal receivers and an underwhelming ground game. However, losing 4 regular seasons before a 28-14 rout by the Baltimore Ravens in the wild card round justifiably soured the taste in everybody's mouth. Sure, Wilson can be competent. But can he compete while Pittsburgh's defensive stars age out of their prime? The Steelers, seemingly, think it's possible, attempting to re-sign Wilson ahead of free agency in March. "I think first of all, yes, we have been starting to talk a little bit, obviously, and we've had our meetings and everything else, and kind of just getting into it," he said. Pittsburgh will presumably bank on Wilson's production improving with another offseason to add to his supporting cast. Additional investments at receiver, a healthy offensive line, and more time with offensive coordinator Arthur Smith are all reasons to be optimistic. Wilson finished his 2024 season completing 63.7% of his passes for 2,482 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. His yards per attempt, quarterback rating, and sack percentage were all at his best since leaving Seattle. In terms of winning a Super Bowl, it's easy to be pessimistic about a volatile passer in his age 37 season. If he's a bridge to the next franchise quarterback, though, he's a safe bet to stay above water. I'm excited, obviously. My goal is to be with the Pittsburgh Steelers a long time and hopefully finish my career there. PFF names Steelers as best landing spot for Amari Cooper in free agency. Needing to address the wide receiver position in a major way this offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers will have some options in free agency, including names like Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins, and maybe even T. Higgins, whom the Steelers know well. There's one name that would be the best fit for the Steelers under head coach Mike Tomlin and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith though. That would be veteran receiver Amari Cooper. Pro Football Focus highlighted the best landing spots for a number of key offensive free agents, and the Steelers were listed as the best spot for Cooper, who has had an up-and-down 2024 season with the Cleveland Browns and Buffalo Bills. The 30-year-old Cooper will have his fair share of suitors on the open market, likely teams looking to add quality veteran leadership to their receiver room. What better place to provide that presence than a team with a history of animated receivers like Pittsburgh? PFF's Mason Cameron writes. The Steelers were actively shopping for receiving help at the trade deadline, with reports linking them to several options, including the former Brown. Pairing the even-keeled Cooper with George Pickens would be a prudent move to calm the Steelers' receiver room and split defensive attention. Though Cooper is preparing for a matchup in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs, his production since a midseason trade from the Browns to the Bills hasn't been what many were expecting. Since the October 15 trade, Cooper has played in 8 games for the Bills and has just 20 receptions for 297 yards and 2 touchdowns. His best performance with Buffalo to date was a 6-catch, 95-yard output against the Los Angeles Rams in a thrilling 45-42 game in Week 14. While the production hasn't quite been there, including a 0-catch performance in the AFC divisional round, Cooper remains a highly regarded receiver. He ranks number 7 in PFF's top 75 free agent ranking, and as the third best WR who could hit the market, behind only Higgins and Godwin. Still, with the Steelers being a team that needs a dependable number 1 type WR on the outside, one who can run the full route tree, separate and win consistently, Cooper makes a great deal of sense in free agency, even if he will enter the 2025 season at 31 years old. Along with the Steelers being best landing spot for Cooper, Cameron highlighted Steelers QB Justin Fields in the top offensive free agent rankings. He listed the New York Jets as the best possible landing spot for the former first-round pick. The Jets hired former Detroit Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn for their head coaching position Wednesday and are still in search of a GM. They also need to make a decision on the likes of quarterback Aaron Rodgers and wide receiver Davante Adams. Fields previously stated he'd love to return to the Steelers, and Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin spoke highly of him during his season-ending press conference. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Amari Cooper? Leave your opinion in the comments.